Hey everybody, this is Wendy Kim of Your Dream Realized Coaching, and I am going to be doing a share today that honestly really scares me. I've been avoiding doing this live. I've been feeling called to do this live, but because I feel like it would really support people, I feel like a lot of people would be able to relate to it, but I've been really scared to do it. But sometimes that's how it is, right? Like we have to do hard things, we have to do scary things, and we have to be willing to contribute over our own comfort. So I'm just going to launch into it. But as many of you know, or may not know, I'm half German and half Korean, but I've always been told growing up, oh, you look 100% Korean, or you look more Asian. So in a lot of ways, I have identified more as Asian and Korean specifically. And so, yeah, I grew up actually until I was 11 in Pittsburgh, in a very homogenous white area. I was always the only Asian in my school, and I don't know if you guys remember Rocky, but I grew up in a neighborhood that was very much like Rocky. It was very blue collar, and so needless to say, like I looked so different and really stuck out like a sore thumb in many ways. And so because of that, I grew up really wanting to assimilate, really wanting to blend in, really wanting, for all intents and purposes, to be white or to be accepted by those around me, by the majority, right? And so if people would refer to me as Asian, I would say, oh, well, I would be proud of the fact that I didn't speak Korean. Because if they knew that I spoke Korean, or if I had an accent, then that would mean somehow that I wasn't like everybody else, and then I wasn't good enough. Or when people would ask me questions, and truthfully, I didn't know a lot about the Korean culture growing up, but that was also on purpose, both from my parents and for myself. Like I didn't want to pursue learning about the Korean culture. Because I felt like if I told people that I knew the Korean language or knew the Korean culture, then it would mean that I was like less American. And if I was less American, if I was less white, then somehow I wouldn't be accepted, or I wouldn't be good enough in my community. And so, yeah, never practiced the cultural traditions. And I think there was, even though I would never say this at the time, there was a shame that I had about being different. There was a shame I had about being Asian. And how did I discover this? Well, I only discovered this recently because I like there's movies, for instance. Of course, I'm sure you've heard of Crazy Rich Asians, and maybe I knew that, okay, they're making this movie, the main characters are going to be Asian, so what? And I didn't think it would really affect me that much, but watching this movie had a huge impact on me, because for the first time I was able to see lead characters that were Asian. And the reason this was important to me was because I had never seen that in my whole life. So what happens for someone like me is when you don't see anyone who looks like you on TV or in movies, except like in a very periphery role, then you start to feel like, oh, well, I guess, first of all, we're not as attractive, because if we were more attractive, then maybe people would actually watch us on the screen. Or you start to feel like okay, maybe there's something wrong with us, that people would not be interested in learning about us, that people would not be interested in hearing our story. And so it's not something you deal with consciously, but when I saw Crazy Rich Asians for the first time, I was like, wow, this is a validation. This is a validation that people are actually interested in people who look like me, that they would actually want to hear about our story as well. So it had a super powerful impact on me. And actually, not that long ago, my daughter was watching Netflix and she asked me a question. She goes, Mom, why are all the lead characters of shows, why are they all white? And why aren't there any Asians? And I have to tell you, that completely broke my heart. And I really didn't know what to say to her. I mean, what do you tell a 9-year-old girl who wants to know why there aren't people on TV who look like her? And so thank God that there are shows. The movie Crazy Rich Asians came out. There's been more shows I've noticed, like on Netflix. One of the shows we like to watch is Kim's Convenience, and it's a store about this Korean family who owns a convenience store. And it's interesting because she really loves watching this show. And one of the things that I really love in raising my children is that they can grow up in a different world than I did, where they can see people who look like them, whether it's in leadership positions or in Hollywood, and they can actually think to themselves, if I want to do that, if I want to be an actor, or if I want to be a performer, then that's achievable. That's not something I grew up ever believing. I never believed that I could become a lead Hollywood actress. I never believed I could become a major singer or performer. I didn't think that would be possible for someone who looked like me. And so, yeah, why am I talking about this? The reason I'm talking about this is because even in my work, which is being an author, speaker, and someone who's more of a public figure in personal development, that's not something I see a lot of people doing who look like me. And so it's been challenging. It's been challenging sometimes believing that I can break that barrier or that glass ceiling, so to speak. So I really want to start this conversation. I really want to start this dialogue because I believe that there are a lot of people of color who feel this way. And if we can have this conversation, and if you can know that actually you can do whatever you want, and you can do anything you want, even if you haven't seen someone who looks like you do it before, then I want to support you completely. So thank you for letting me share this. If you can relate to anything that I'm saying, please let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Okay, bye.